I've spent 15 plus years helping thousands of experts just like you turn their skills into businesses that are like magnets for paying clients. But if you clicked on this video, you have too many skills and interests. You don't have a passion problem, you have a strategy problem. So today, I'm going to show you the psychology behind how you can pick a niche that you love that also doesn't feel like a compromise and gets you paying clients. But before you can figure out which niche to settle on, we need to talk about what a niche actually is. Because most beginners and even experienced business owners can get this wrong, and it sends them off in a direction that wastes a ton of time and money. When most beginners hear the word niche, they think of something like obscure, like something weird and ultra specific. Like when somebody says, "Oh, that's pretty niche," they mean it's like some tiny corner of the internet that nobody really cares about. So naturally, when you're told to pick a niche, it feels like you're being asked to pigeonhole yourself, to take everything that you've built over so many years of experience and cram it into some teeny tiny box. Or the advice will go in the opposite direction and a guru will tell you to just kind of pick something you're passionate about, which sounds great until you realize that passion without demand is literally a hobby. And then there's the sizing problem. Some people pick a niche so broad it's meaningless. I'm a business consultant. Okay, great. So is everybody else. You're now competing with every consulting firm on the planet. Other people will go so specific that there's buyers, but there's just not enough to sustain a business. So like vintage 90s emo band tees for left-handed people in Scotland. Interesting, yes. Is it a profitable business? I'm gonna guess probably not. So I understand why niching can feel like a trap. It seems like your only options are too broad to stand out, too narrow to survive, or kind of too weird to be taken seriously. But there's a big misconception floating out there on the internet about niches and niching down. Yes, a niche is a specific market segment where your skills and demand overlap. That part is true. You need actual people with actual problems who are willing to pay you for solutions. But a niche does something else that almost nobody talks about. And this will change how you think about your whole process of choosing a niche. A niche is actually a memory device. Here's what I mean. It's the thing that determines whether somebody remembers you on a Tuesday afternoon when their colleague says, "Hey, do you know anybody who can help us fix this?" You're either in that person's brain at that moment or you're not. And your niche is like a memory hook that puts you inside of people's heads. Because at the end of the day, as I love to say, marketing is memory making. If people can't remember what you do when they need what you sell, they can't hire you. They can't refer you because in their heads, you just don't exist. By the way, if you're finding this video helpful, please drop a like or a comment and subscribe to the channel. I make a couple of videos like this every single week about how to turn your expertise into paying clients using the same buyer psychology backed principles that have helped me create more than $250 million for my clients, from solopreneurs to SMBs, agencies, and Fortune 500 brands like Microsoft and McDonald's. Now, here's where having too many interests and skills can create a very specific and very sticky trap. When you describe yourself as someone who does strategy and leadership development and operational efficiency and culture work and change management, your buyer's brain doesn't store, remember, or even really understand all 5 of those things. It stores 0. You become like this kind of vague, soupy cloud inside of their heads of someone who's really smart, but not hireable. But when you talk about one specific concrete problem over and over, something different happens in your buyer's brain. You get filed, you get labeled, you get a folder. And when that problem comes up, so does your name. So a niche isn't a summary of your career, it's a label that helps the right buyer find and remember you at the right time, which means that the question you should be asking isn't, how do I pick just one skill or interest to focus on? It's, what do I want to be remembered for when I'm not in the room? And those are 2 completely different questions. And most experts with a lot of interests are trying to answer the first one when they should be answering the second one. Now, here's the psychological reason this is so hard to do. When you've spent years developing expertise across multiple areas, choosing one thing triggers a feeling called loss aversion, which is a psychological principle that I talk a lot about in my best-selling book, Choice Hacking: How to Use Psychology and Behavioral Science to Create an Experience That Sings, which, by the way, you can get a free digital copy of at the link in the description. Basically, it goes a little something like this. Losses are psychologically painful. So when someone tells you to pick one niche, it doesn't feel like you're focusing. It feels like you're giving up and losing all your other interests and things that you're good at. It feels like you're throwing 95% of your experience in the garbage can. Those feelings are real, but they're pointing your business in the wrong direction. Because what actually happens when you narrow your niche is you don't lose anything. You gain findability. You become the person that someone can remember and describe in one sentence to a friend at a dinner party. And that one sentence is worth more than a huge list on your LinkedIn profile or a 10-page capabilities deck that nobody ever reads. But there's another reason, other than loss aversion, that this is harder than it sounds for multi-passionate people with lots of interests like you. When you're interested in a lot of things, every option can feel equally valid. You could go in 5 different directions and make a case for every single one. And so you spin and you compare and you second guess. And meanwhile, you're not putting anything out into the world and you're losing potential clients and thousands of dollars by doing nothing. Because nothing kind of feels like the safest bet. And this is actually a symptom of something called choice overload. So the more paths that you could take, the harder it is to commit to any single one of them. And the people who seem to have it easy with niching, well, take it from me, most of them didn't have any more clarity or certainty or self-knowledge than you. They just had fewer options. Having one marketable skill or interest makes the decision really simple. Having 10, and I speak from personal experience, makes it agonizing. So here's how we're going to make this less agonizing. You don't need to audit your entire career and find the perfect one red thread that connects everything, or put your resume in and ask ChatGPT to figure it out. Oh, great and powerful ChatGPT, tell me the answer. What should I do? That work sounds productive and it can feel productive. But in my experience, it usually just leads you to more confusion and wasted time. Instead, I want you to pay attention to something much more specific. What problems do people already come to you for? Not the ones that you wish they would bring you, not the ones that sound the most impressive on LinkedIn, the ones that actually show up in your inbox and even in your full-time job. There's almost always a pattern there, but most people have never taken like a second just to think about it. And by the way, if you need help thinking about it, I've got some good exercises in my Consulting Starter Kit that you can download for free at consultingstarterkit.com or at the link in the description. Now, out of those problems that people have asked you to solve, I want you to ask yourself, which one is the most urgent and financially painful? Not which one is the most fun for you to work on or the sexiest or the one that everybody's talking about on LinkedIn. Which one makes somebody say, I would pay $10,000 just to get this off of my plate right now? That's your starting place. And I want to be clear about something. This doesn't have to be your forever niche. It just has to be your right now niche. The one that gets you hired while you build your business and your client roster. But something really interesting will happen once you start getting clients around one specific problem. You learn more about what you actually enjoy delivering. You learn who you like working with. You'll also learn how you can combine some of your interests and skills to deliver the solution to that problem in a unique and interesting way. Your niche will end up getting sharper over time based on your real-world experience, not planning or thinking or talking to ChatGPT. But none of that learning is ever going to happen until you pick a starting place. Okay, so once you've identified your problem, you need to do one more thing. And this is where a lot of people really overcomplicate and overthink stuff. I want you to take that problem and turn it into one clear statement that can pass what I call the dinner party test. I help X solve Y so they can Z. It is just one sentence that a stranger could hear at a dinner party and repeat back to somebody else the very next day. Because that's the real test of whether your niche is going to work. Because people don't hire the most qualified or skilled person. They hire the one that they can remember. And it's really that simple. Remember, repeat, hire, refer. A simple 3-step process that clicks right into place once you have your niche. Now, every day I help people do exactly that inside of my one-on-one coaching and my program, Cheap Business Co-Pilot. I get you from zero to paying clients faster and with fewer headaches than doing it on your own. You can learn more about the program and apply to join the waitlist at cheapbusinesscopilot.com. Once your niche clicks into place, there's another challenge that shows up almost immediately, and it's one that trips up nearly every single expert that I've worked with, and that is pricing. Most experts have no idea what their thinking is actually worth, and the psychology behind how buyers evaluate price is probably going to surprise you. I break it all down in this video next. I'm Jen Clinehens, and I'll see you in the next one.